Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Blind Level Tech. I am your host, Evan Starnes. This week, I'm giving you guys what I like to call a BLT throwback, or some people might use the word rerun, of an episode from May 10th of 2023. So, way back in the old days when Jonathan and I were hosting the show, and even back in the super surprisingly early days of things like Be My AI, and I feel like right when the AI hype train was just about to leave the station, and right before we started to see AI slapped on anything and everything. Now, I'm sure some of you are asking, why in the heck is this guy doing a rerun? Hasn't he done this one, or hasn't he done a couple already? To be completely transparent, the reason that there isn't a new episode this week is because, well, I got pretty darn sick over the weekend into Monday, and because it's summer, that also means that guests and topics are just a little slower than typical. So I've kind of run out of buffer episodes and have been doing this week to week. And obviously, I was in no position to record anything or do any sort of research at the time of this recording. Monday was yesterday. Yeah, totally in no position to do any of that. So I figured that I'd go way back into the old archives of the show and find something related to health, because dehydration is incredibly sneaky and it can impact you in multiple ways, including making you feverishly sick and violently ill, and it's just not a good time. And it's also just not a healthy thing to do. We did an interview, Jonathan and I, that was released May 10th of 2023. It's a guy named Alfred Poor, and he calls himself the health tech futurist. This really kind of brings back to the old days of Blind Level Tech when we were still figuring out our format, when I was still trying to come out of my shell and not be so nervous on microphone, and even before we started doing Sandwiches of the Week. So if you haven't listened to, if you maybe started listening to this show in more recent times, or if you've forgotten the old days, I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Don't forget to leave feedback at aftersight.org, or leave a voicemail at 720-712-8856, and enjoy this old throwback. I'll even leave the classic BLT intro in for fun.
Welcome to Blind Level Tech. I'm Jonathan Price.
I'm Evan Starnes.
And together, we're bringing you news, tech, and information about blind technologies.
Being blind doesn't mean you have to stop living.
We're going to show you just how possible it is to live the life you want. Very cool. Evan, buddy, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Just got back to the office a good 15-ish minutes. Well, it feels like 15 minutes ago. I don't know. Time lately has been kind of weird.
Let's do the
lately.
time warp.
Yeah, right.
Well, and we just came back from that meeting, so I mean, we're kind of all frazzled and all over the place.
Yeah, everybody's just like, "What? Huh? What's going on?"
Well, I've had lunch and put my feet up, so I'm ready to go.
All right.
I'll carry it if needed.
Okay, so
very good.
Alfred, where in Philadelphia are you?
So I'm in Havertown.
Okay.
Which is just outside of Philadelphia.
Okay.
If Haverford, St. Joe's, and Villanova are just right around us. So if you're basketball fans,
yeah,
that's where we are.
Very cool. Hey, everybody. Jonathan Price here with the Audio Information Network of Colorado. You are listening to Blind Sight, and we have a really, really cool guest for you today. His name is Alfred Poor, and I found him doing some research just regular blind technologies, and there were some things that he shared with me, and we'll get into here in just a minute, that I'm just absolutely boggled by. But before we get into that, I'm going to introduce my co-host, Evan Starnes. Evan, how you holding up this week?
I'm doing pretty good. Where's Bill Lundgren if this is Blind Sight, though?
Oh, dude. Well, you know what? Maybe I need to go have Blind Level Tech. Thanks for calling that out, buddy. Appreciate that, jerk face.
You're welcome. You're so welcome.
Oh, my lordy. Okay, this is Blind Level Tech, so thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes.
Blindside I'm recording tomorrow, so that's why I've got that.
But check it out. Blindside's pretty awesome.
Blindside is pretty awesome, and I'm on there a little bit just helping out. So, but this is my show.
Yeah, you and
this
Bill
is
are
our
a power
show.
duo.
Anywho, okay, Evan, so now that you've corrected me and embarrassed me to death, what are you doing?
I'm honestly right now I am currently sitting in the AINC studios, and I just finished up college last week, so yay.
Hell
oh
yeah.
My goodness. That's been an adjustment too. So I've been kind of trying to adjust back to this routine of not having classes after work and actually just being able to get home and, put my feet up and enjoy enjoy myself and not having anything to do afterwards.
Right.
And then, man, this weekend I had a party at my buddy's house. I haven't seen this dude for a couple of years, and I partied hard. Oh man,
Nice.
I did what most 21-year-olds do, and I partied hard, and I had played air hockey and had a nice good time.
Any beer pong?
So, none, unfortunately, no.
Okay. That's all right.
Beer pong would have been fun, but.
I wonder if they make some sort of technology for beer pong for blind people, because that would be kind of fun.
Oh, they might. Speaking of cool technology, I did get access to, if you guys listened to a couple episodes ago with Joe Weber, I got access to the Be My Eyes beta.
Oh, nice.
For the virtual volunteer feature, and I am beyond impressed. It has worked. Man, most image recognition apps are almost always hit or miss. Like sometimes you'll get a good description, other times you won't. This is just like almost nails it right on the head. Like I was trying to figure out what kind of salsa. I was at my girlfriend's and she was like, "What kind of brand of salsa is this?" I just took a picture and like, this is a brand of something restaurant style salsa, and it is sitting on a granite countertop. I'm like, I didn't need that much detail, but thank you.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
that's super cool.
It's impressive.
Man, some of the AI, if you guys missed it, so we did a episode with Joe Weber of Be My Eyes, and he was talking about all this AI tech that was coming to the platform, and this AI tech will take pictures and scan environments and things like that and tell you exactly what it is that's in front of you. So if you're looking up scripts, if you're looking up recipes, or did you get to try the recipe thing?
I did not get to try the recipe thing, but I did get to try the context.
Okay.
And it's really cool because, like Jonathan was saying, you can take a picture, send it to the AI, and then within about 5 seconds, you get a really accurate description. And what was cool is I took a picture, for instance, of me when I was in Arizona at the Musical Instrument Museum, and I took a picture, and you can actually import pictures. So the cool part is if on an iPhone at least, then you can do this on Android too.
Okay.
You can hit share, and then you can say or Be My Eyes or something like that. There's an option to send it directly.
Right.
And it was cool because it was like a pictures of guitars in a glass display case. And I'm like, where was this taken? And it didn't get the exact location, but it did identify it from a museum/exhibit hall, and I was able to get more context. So,
well, I mean, it's still in beta. So, I mean, and that stuff's going to get updated the more people use it. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Oh, it's impressive.
Actually, Be My Eyes was on my list.
Oh, was it really?
Things to talk about today's, yeah.
Speaking of lists, so the guy that you just heard is Alfred Poor. And before we get to Alfred, I'm going to read real quick what he's been up to. So, Alfred, you're the health tech futurist. You do tons of speaking and authoring and with international reputation in technology fields. He was the editor of Health and Tech Insider, which was a website that covers wearable and mobile devices for health and medical applications. Went to Harvard. That's not really a school. He's the co-author, 15 books, and is widely quoted in major media outlets. Lots of energy and humor he's a public speaker. So, he speaks all over the world on assistive technology. And so, Alfred, man, we're so thankful to have you on the show. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah.
Should be a lot of fun.
So, okay.
It's gonna be
so
great.
Now that we touched on Be My Eyes, tell me a little bit about what you know and what was on your list about Be My Eyes.
Well, so one of the things that impressed the heck out of me about Be My Eyes is the original, we knew about it before the virtual thing happened.
Right.
And one of the things that struck me about it is that it's one of those beautiful synergies between people in a community, helping each other. That the original concept was to use sighted volunteers to assist people with impaired vision.
Right.
And currently, they've got over 6.3 million volunteers active across 150 countries worldwide. And I've forgotten, it's some 80 some different languages that are covered. I mean, it's just ridiculous how successful this program's been. And what they've just added that you were talking about is the virtual volunteer feature, which replaces the human assistant with a virtual assistant. And it's actually run by ChatGPT-4, which is the more recent version of ChatGPT. And the idea is that that can relieve the load from the sighted volunteers and make them available for the things that they're best at, and let the bot handle the things that it knows how to do. And I think this is the bellwether for this whole market.
Absolutely.
This is an appropriate, probably an appropriate use for generative AI. And so, we'll see how it develops. But as long as we can keep it from making stuff up, it should be very helpful.
That's what my concern was.
Yeah. And you're right to be concerned. I had it write my bio, and it was impressive as heck, but most of it was not true. A whole lot of stuff I never did. So, so you have to be cautious about that.
That's crazy. So as we get into this, I want to hit a couple of things. But first, what are some of the cool technology advances specifically for vision impaired people or print disability people that you have come across in you've been doing this for how many years have you been running this?
So Health Tech Insider just recently ceased publication. We ran for 9 years.
Wow.
Over 3,500 articles published.
So
obviously not all about vision impairment, but
assistive technologies nonetheless.
Wearable technology for health and medical applications across the board, and a lot of that we spent with technology that would help people with various types of impairment, including vision.
So, what are some of the coolest technologies that you've seen come out of that, or you have researched?
So I think that the part that just absolutely blows my mind, it's the science fiction kind of stuff. And that's some of the implants that are becoming available. We're all familiar with cochlear implants and the transformative effect that's had on people with impaired hearing. Many of whom had never heard before they got their implant. And the same kind of thing is going, I believe, it already is available in a limited degree for people with vision problems. There are two areas of interest. One's the retina, which is the layer of nerves that react to light and convert that to impulses through the optic nerve and off to the brain. Macular degeneration, there's all kinds of conditions that cause the retina to stop working. And what's been interesting is that for a long time, people have been working on digital implants to replace the function of the retina. And the early attempts were kind of ham-handed, using a silicon chip to detect light and then create electrical impulses and have that stimulate the nerves at the back of the retina. Low resolution, putting a big chunk of sand in your eye probably is not a great idea.
Sounds horrible.
A lot of shortcomings, but there's some really exciting stuff going on, especially with the development of graphene, thin film, semiconductors. A whole lot of technology is now available to be brought to bear to this problem. A bunch of researchers in Switzerland have created a flexible retinal implant that actually uses a photovoltaic material.
Oh, wow.
instead of electrodes for the pixels. And so what this means is it on its own generates an electrical impulse from the light, which means you don't have to have a wire going off to some external connection for power or controllers or whatever. This is just an analog for the normal retina and just replaces it. And the advantage of this is that you can get a much higher resolution. And so that's an avenue of research that seems to be developing pretty rapidly. Obviously this is not stuff that's going to be ready next year or 5 years from now, but it's on the horizon that's coming. The outfit in Australia has a carbon-based semiconductor that they use for an artificial retina. And it has a property, a biocompatible property that apparently can stimulate the regrowth of the neurons at the back of the eyeball. So to reestablish that connection for input. So that's pretty interesting. And some of this isn't that far off. I mean, the FDA has cleared a device from a company called Second Sight Medical Products. This uses an implant, but then attaches to an external device. They're working with a company called Orion for the retinal implant. I'm sorry, it's not a retinal implant. It's an implant that goes directly on the visual cortex of the brain. Oh, wow. Which is the other way. So you're just bypassing the retina, the optic nerve, and all that. You just go and stimulate the brain directly. And again, this is FDA cleared. It's not on the market yet, but it's passed the clinical test process, and so it's a question of getting refined and turned into a marketable product. In that same stimulating the brain concept, there's a group in the Netherlands who's actually created a low power matrix of 1,000 electrodes that they implanted on the visual cortex of monkeys' brains, and they were actually able to recognize rudimentary shapes and numbers and things like that just from this direct stimulation. So you'd have a camera on the outside leading to the stimulation of this array, and it's synthetic sight.
Is that kind of like the nanomesh you were talking about?
Yeah, that's the nanomesh kind of thing that I was talking about. Exactly.
I imagine the cost with this stuff has got to be like astronomical. And
well, actually, no. That Australian retina implant that I mentioned, that's printed using standard commercial equipment.
No way! Wow.
Yeah. So the production costs, in theory, could be very, very low. Obviously, there's a lot more to it than just printing the implant material, but it's flexible enough so that it can be folded up, which makes it much easier to insert into the eyeball. As to something rigid would have to take a large incision or something like that. So
and that would be a brutal surgery, especially like where it is.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm glad you mentioned powering it too, because like that was kind of concern. I'm like, I could just be using these and then, oh no, my eyes are dead.
Right.
That would be.
And that's happened. There are companies that were early, came out with early products that are no longer supported. And so there are patients out there with these implants that have limited to no support. I mean, there's not going to be a version 2 coming out for them.
Oh, that's a problem.
But that's how the pioneers, they've got the arrows in the back. It's
well, and I would assume that if you're a pioneer, I guess in this particular field, you understand the risk, and you're everybody has always said that if you're a pioneer, I mean, take a look at Lewis and Clark. I mean, people said they were crazy just for venturing out, but if you have the mindset of that pioneer attitude, you're going to be okay.
To a much lesser degree, I mean, this is what people do when they sign up for clinical trials. I've been a subject for clinical trials in medication, and for my mind, it's a way to pay back. I mean, I've been the beneficiary of some great pharmacology, and so this was my opportunity to pay that forward some. So, there are definitely people out there who are willing to undergo significant
Trials,
hardship
basically,
to help advance the technology.
Man, because I remember a few years ago, you were talking about electrical impulses. There was a device, and I'm not sure if it's still out there, that used a camera, and then it actually went into the mouth and sent electrical signals through the mouth.
Oh my gosh.
Stimulated the visual cortex. So
yeah, I missed that one, but yeah,
like through the roof of your mouth, or
I think it was through like I think it was
probably
under
through
the tongue,
jaw?
something like that. Yeah.
But one of the fascinating things for me is the brain's plasticity means that
Very true.
you can, you could send a novel impulse that could be learned to be sensed as vision, which is to me is just crazy.
Yeah, you're reprogramming the brain, basically.
Exactly.
It's so fascinating.
In thinking about this, I watched this YouTube video. We're talking about reprogramming the brain to some degree, but there was a guy who went on stage with a bicycle, and I don't know if you've seen this or not, but it's a bicycle where you can change the steering direction of the bike and so like when you, on a normal bike, when you turn left, you typically go left, or when you turn right, you go right. Yep. Well, on this one, you just try around, and then you can switch it to where if you turn left, the bike goes right. And so it's on this like weird gear. And so the really cool thing was that after just a few minutes of riding the bike, the brain was able to reprogram itself to say, oh, okay, left is right now and right is left. But then what was really funny was when he would switch it back, they had to relearn how to ride the correct way. And so it's just so cool, that neuroplasticity that you're talking about.
One of the guys I've seen on YouTube doing that is a guy who's got a channel called Smarter Every Day. And he does,
I've heard of that channel.
Fascinating stuff. And I think it took more than a few minutes to learn the backwards bike. But
yes.
It was quite an accomplishment. But Jonathan, you and I previously were talking about this. There were experiments a long time ago where people would be asked to wear prism glasses that would flip their vision upside down.
Yep.
And it would take them a couple days to adapt, but then they could walk around just fine with their whole world upside down. And then when they took glasses off, they had to go through that same accommodation period again. But
I can't even imagine going through that.
Me neither.
You're a graduate student. The $20, you can use the $20.
Yeah. Oh, Lordy.
Getting good with the psych professor.
No joke. So when do you think this technology could be made available to the masses? Is there any sort of like timeline that talks about this?
Well, I've seen this movie many times before. I started off originally with the IBM PC compatibles.
Nice.
And so I've seen a lot of technology booms and busts over the years. Basically, everything takes longer, costs more than your most optimistic prediction. So I try not to handicap things like that. But again, we do have this, like, for example, the second site, they've got a product that's been FDA cleared. And so, they're not ready to bring it to market, but that's probably the closest.
And the FDA approval, that's a massive hurdle.
It is. And, I mean, to me, there's all kinds of wonderful things out there in the lab, but until you go through some clinical trials, until you prove that it's safe and effective, it's not real yet.
Well, okay. So let's take a step back, because we're talking about implants, and we're talking about this incredible nanotechnology that is unavailable to people.
These are the moonshots.
We're trying to give people this hope. But you were talking about actually some clip-ons, and Evan just got a clip-on. I don't remember, Evan, if it's Orcam or if it's
it was an Orcam.
Yeah. So you guys, Alfred, tell us a little bit about what you know about Orcam and stuff.
The clip-ons and the wearables.
I'm a big fan of Orcam, and I've been following them. and they're an Israeli company, as I recall. I've been following them for many, many years. I met with them the first time they came to CES, the big consumer electronics show in Las Vegas every year, and it's just remarkable to me what they've accomplished. And Evan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the cool things about it is it's a little ballpoint pens kind of size thing that just clips to the earpiece of your glasses. And it's extremely discreet. It's got a camera. It's got a microphone that's close to your ear, so it can talk to you, but it's not going to disrupt other people, so you can get quiet information from it. And it does amazing things. Obviously, it can read text. It can scan barcodes. If it's a UPC, the standard grocery barcode, it'll tell you what the product is. It already knows more than 1 million products based on their UPC code. It uses facial recognition. So if you've logged somebody who you know, it'll say, "Oh, yeah, that's Peter in front of you. You're talking to Peter now." Which I would love to have, because I'm terrible at recognizing people out of context. So I could use that. But the thing that just absolutely blows me away is it does all this without an internet connection. It doesn't have to be paired to a smartphone. It doesn't need Wi-Fi connection. It's not using a cell connection. It's all self-contained, which just blows my mind. And then it's also got a handheld version that does pretty much the same stuff. The My Reader.
That's crazy.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, what you said is pretty accurate. It does have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth as an option, and that's mainly for just updating the device. And they did add a new, so I believe the My Eye Pro, although the My Eye Pro and the My Eye 2 look similar. They look identical. Basically, a little camera about the size of, it looks like more like a highlighter, and it magnetically clips onto a pair of sunglasses. And then they added this feature now where it's like a descriptive feature where you can say you can activate the voice and say, "What's in front of me?" And it will point out basic things like tables, cups, screens, chairs, doors.
There's a chair where you can sit,
and it'll tell you where they are.
Sitting in it.
I don't know if it'll do that. I know it just says there's a chair.
I saw that in the demo. So,
like an empty chair. I haven't gotten it. I've tried it and I haven't gotten it to work.
Yeah,
but demos are demos. But it's there, and it is, again, this is completely offline. It's not using the internet. It's on that little device.
To me, and I want to point out, this wouldn't have happened had it not been for the smartphone. Okay, because the smartphone produced billions of cameras and billions of memories and billions of inertial motion sensors, and these things, back in the 50s and 60s, the inertial motion sensors, weighed 10 pounds and the size of a lunchbox, and cost $20,000. Now, they cost less than $1, and they're a tiny little solid state chip that you just add to the bill of materials.
They're embedded on system on SoCs, system on chips. They're almost embedded.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that without the cell phone, without the smartphone and its Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and cellular data and GPS supporting systems, a lot of this cool technology we never could have afforded to get it off the ground. But now it comes as a byproduct.
True.
I mean, we all know who really is to credit for all this. I mean, it's Gene Roddenberry, right? Star Trek creator.
Exactly. Exactly.
I read some crazy stat.
I agree.
Some 80% of technology that we currently have is based on the ideas that came from Star Trek.
I wouldn't be surprised.
That's
like most of the computer stuff, the touch pads, the layouts and environmental controls, like all that kind of stuff.
You go back to H.G. Wells. And he wasn't far off on a lot of this stuff.
Right.
And Asimov to me,
yes.
If you ever have a chance, if you've read it before, go back and read it. But there's one of his robot detective novels was called The Naked Sun. Go back and read it because it describes sort of social media, internet connection taken to its illogical extreme.
Right.
And
Yes.
it didn't exist when he wrote that.
Right.
People, the taboo in that culture is being in the same room with another person. It's fine if you're on a screen, but to be in the same room with somebody is just like anathema. But anyhow, that's just the beginning of it. It's a great book to reread.
I'll have to. What's the name of that book?
The Naked Sun. It's usually bundled with the Caves of Steel. Caves of Steel came first, and then Naked Sun came second.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, before we wrap up, I want to quickly kind of get your word out there about what you do public speaking wise. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing currently.
So I'm always on the lookout for opportunities to give a keynote speech. I discuss a variety health tech issues from a variety of perspectives, ranging everywhere from employee retention and issues like that are of big importance to businesses these days. Another area that I talk about that's I think huge is the whole thing about aging in place and our aging population and how technology can help us. I think it has to help us deal with the caregiver crisis that we had before the pandemic hit. And employers, family members, the elderly themselves need to be more aware of what some of the options are that are available to them. And they don't have to carry the burden all on their own. As we've played around with a bit today, I go deep into a number of different areas, especially about impairments, whether it's mobility, vision, hearing. Can talk a lot about the effects of the new over-the-counter rules for hearing devices. And another area is, just how the pandemic has changed healthcare forever. And some of the things that health tech has made possible that's going to change how we relate to healthcare and healthcare professionals going forward. And if people are looking to reach me, my website is alfredpoor.com and my email is alfred@alfredpoor.com. So it's cool. Pretty straightforward.
Perfect.
Try to make it easy.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll make sure we have all that in the show notes.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show. This is actually really fascinating stuff to learn, honestly, because, everybody, I feel like, as a kid, I'd always heard, we have cell phones. Eventually, it's going to be you have a chip embedded in your brain and stuff. And, we're closer than I ever expected us to be from that. That's not to say I'm ever going to be comfortable with a chip embedded in my brain yet, but,
You're going to turn into a Borg.
It's going to be a situation of boiling the frog.
Yep.
Take diabetes as an example. Right now, the finger stick is still the most common way that people monitor their blood glucose levels.
Right.
However, these wearable glucose monitors, CGMs, continuous glucose monitors, are transforming how diabetics, especially children with type 1 diabetes, are managing the disease. What a lot of people don't realize is there's already a product out on the market. These CGMs actually inject a small needle into under your skin. And currently, I think you can wear them for up to 14 days. There's a company that makes a little embedded sensor.
It's called Dexcom.
I'm sorry?
Dexcom.
No, not Dexcom. This is Senseonics. This is something different. It's something the size of a grain of rice that actually gets injected under your skin and can be removed fairly easily. And last I heard, it's good for 6 months, but there's no reason why it wouldn't be good for 9 months or a year.
Wow.
And the thing is, the sensor sits above it and basically lights up this little grain of rice that then glows based on the amount of blood glucose present.
Wow.
And so it's a very passive, there's no recharging, no anything. There's no, it's not invasive in that there's no open wound. And, so a lot of people, I think, would find that attractive, an attractive alternative. I mean,
Definitely.
In Sweden, a similar chip, it's actually an RFID type chip, 5,000 people in Sweden who use the public transit opted for a free chip to be inserted in their hand so that they can use that to go through the turnstiles to use the public transportation. Boiling a frog, I think when confronted with a solution where the convenience outweighs, some of the negatives, we're going to start adapting them. And, I think that we're already doing shoulders and hips and knees and, heart valves and all kinds of stuff. So to me, it's small incremental steps. And I think
also, it also talks to the point that you and I were talking about yesterday, where you have a tool that was designed for one purpose and now you're using it for another. I think the more we adapt what technology we have to different uses, eventually there comes the question of, is this ethical? Is this moral? And so that's always been a fine line, especially in the medical community. And so, there's a lot of stuff that's super cool about all of this tech. And then there's people on the other side who are going to, freak out and panic and I don't want to be chipped and I don't want to, all that stuff. And that's fine.
I'm glad to have them there. We need to have people looking
checks
for
and
the
balances.
worst case scenario.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm old enough to remember thalidomide, and we don't want to go through that.
No.
So I never complain about the FDA dragging their heels to clear a product. I'm glad that they take their time.
All right. Well, Alfred, again, thank you so much for being on Blind Level Tech. Like I said, this has been ridiculously insightful, and I'm actually kind of curious where we're going to be a few years from now, if we're going to have such a thing as, a little implant that goes, into your eyeball that basically restores sight. For those who are wondering, I personally am not going. I like being blind. I was born this way. This is how God made me.
Absolutely.
But seriously, the info that you've provided for us has been incredible. And yes, definitely glad to hear your support of the Orcam too, because it's a very niche product, but it is a very life-changing product for people like myself who don't really have vision at all. So yeah, I'd like to personally, and we here from Audio Information Network would love to thank you for being on.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure. I hope we get to continue this conversation.
Yes, indeed.
We will for sure.
We're going to have a part 2, I'm sure.
Or 5, 6, 10. There's so much technology. I mean, where is it going to stop?
Right. Well, and to all of our other listeners and everybody here, thank you so much for listening to Blind Level Tech. Please be sure to, if you're listening on any of your podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts especially, like and leave a rating or leave a review if you're on Apple Podcasts. It does help the show's numbers, and it will help, get the show out there. And, be sure to spread the word, share it with your friends and family, your puppies, your goldfish, whatever. I know I've heard that before.
I don't know the last time I heard a goldfish listen to a podcast, but that would be fine.
They might be out there.
Yeah.
And
who knows?
Of course, please check out all of our other shows, Blind Sight, Navigating Life with Vision Loss, and of course the original After Sight, and my show Volunteer Spotlight if you're curious as well. And yes, thank you guys so much for listening to Blind Level Tech. I'm your co-host, Evan Starnes.
And I'm Jonathan Price. We'll talk to you guys later. Alfred, thank you for joining us, man.